Greetings, Trevecca Baseball family. I'm regretful that I'm not able to join you guys today or this weekend as a part of homecoming as we celebrate 50 years of Trevecca Baseball. I've had a lot of time over the last couple months to reflect on my time at TNU and what it meant to be both a player, a student, a coach, an alumni of TNU, and how that all fits into the story of who I am. And part of the reason I'm not able to join you guys this weekend is because of a valuable lesson that I feel like I learned both as a player and later on that we tried to instill as coaches into those that played for us. So I just want to say to everybody that's there and a part of the 50th anniversary celebration that I'm grateful to be a part of the fraternity of players and coaches that have made Trevecca Baseball so special over the years. You know, I got to thinking, I've spent 8 years of my 40 on this earth at TNU, either as a player or as a coach. And while I didn't major in math, I did major in communications. That tells me that 20% of my life has been spent on the Hill connected to TNU in some way. And there is without a doubt, it's left an impression on who I am today and what I'm all about. I'm actually filming this video to you. I appreciate you taking the time to listen to it. I would much rather be delivering this in person, but I'm filming this video today inside the sanctuary of our church in Oro Valley, Arizona, just outside of Tucson where I grew up. And I'm the executive pastor here at Oro Valley Church of the Nazarene now, and it's a place I never thought I'd end up. I never envisioned getting out of baseball, getting out of coaching, and moving into pastoral ministry, but God had a plan. And all of my years at TNU, I believe, were preparing me for the season of life and ministry that I'm in now. I have a few memories that I'd love to share with you, and maybe some of you in the room would remember them. But I remember as a player, my freshman year was 1998, and it was spring break week, and we were playing home games all week long. And in typical Nashville weather fashion, there was a cold front moving through. And so I think on the first day of spring break, we were playing a doubleheader against Lemoyne Owen out of Memphis. And it was a beautiful day for baseball, low 30s, blowing wind, sleet, rain, and snow, just gorgeous. And on Coach Gray's behalf, he did not cancel the game because he was ready to compete and ready to play. And that's something now, looking back, that I appreciate a lot about that day. But one of the interesting things about that game is there was one player that was missing. I played second base, and our shortstop, Brad Turner, he came up sick that day. And for those of you that were a part of that team, we're not really convinced how sick Brad was. We just think he was cold. And so that's still a little bit of a mystery, but we know that Brad wasn't there, but the rest of us were. And we took the field and we started playing. We got into the second inning of game one of a doubleheader, and there was a play at first base that was clearly going to the home team. We got a favorable call, I think, to move the game along, and the manager for Lemoyne Owen College said, "That is it. We are not going to put up with this. We're out of here." He pulled his team off the field, said they were going home. They drove back to Memphis, and we won 2 games by forfeit that day, but we were in the CAF by about 1:30, warm, eating snacks and drinking hot chocolate and warm again, and that's a memory I'll never forget. I remember my senior year. Maybe this is a turning point, if you will, for the program in some form or fashion during that time, but we were playing Union University. And I remember it was a pretty contested game, and there was a rundown that came up between third and home during one of the games in that series. And the player for Trevecca that was involved in that rundown was a guy named Chris Mercado. Now, I have a special place in my heart for Chris because Chris introduced me to Sharon, my wife, at chapel one day during my senior season. So Chris and I, we're tight. I appreciate that very much. It worked out well for me. But Chris Mercado was involved in that rundown. And during that rundown, the third baseman from Union tagged him in the back, but tagged him a little bit aggressively, pushed him to the ground. What's interesting is that player for Union was the player of the year in the conference and really good player, but Chris didn't appreciate how forcefully that tag went down and popped back up, got in his face, benches cleared. I was coming out on deck, and I remember looking at Terrence McLean, who was going up to bat, and we just kind of locked eyes, and it was like, okay, here we go. It's time for a bench clearing kerfuffle right here at Jackson Field. And so so benches cleared and we went out there, and at the time we were kind of like, man, is this really happening? But I look back on that now and I think, you know what, that was a moment for us as a program that we said in a way that we were here to compete and that we were here to stay and that we wanted to win in the Trans-South and we were going to compete as hard as we possibly could. So I remember those two things real vividly from my playing days. And then as I got out of playing, 2002 was my last year, and then moved into coaching on Coach Forehand's staff as a graduate assistant and later an assistant coach. And Coach Forehand got the call from Lipscomb University to go over there to be their head coach. I remember getting a call a couple days after that was announced and all that went down. I got a call from Alan Smith, the athletic director, and he said, hey, I think that you're our next baseball coach. We want you to be the guy. And I was 27 years old. I was unbelievably humbled. I was nervous. I didn't know if I was ready. I didn't know if it was really going to work. I'm so grateful that Alan Smith and Dr. Dan Boone would place enough trust in a 27-year-old young man to be able to lead the program forward from that point. And I remember thinking that, man, I'm really young for this. And I ended up talking with Greg Ruff, who told me that, yeah, you're the youngest head coach in all of college baseball right now. And 27 years old, I had to have a conversation with each and every player that was still on our team. And I called each and every one of you, and I hope a lot of you were there today, and I called each and every one, and I said, hey, I'm going to become the head coach, and I'd love you to stay and help us to build and continue to do what we've been doing. And every single player decided to stay. And I remember being so humbled by that. Maybe some of that was because you believed in me. I honestly think most of it was because you guys knew that together you wanted to do something special. And over the course of my 2 seasons as head coach, we were able to do that. We won the Trans-South regular season title both years. And man, one of my biggest memories as a coach was the last series of the year in that first year was at Cumberland University. And we were playing them in a 3-game series, and we only needed to win 1 game to clinch the regular season title. And Nick Shoup took the mound for the Trojans and pitched an unbelievable game, and we ended up run-ruling Cumberland on their home field in 7 innings, and we dogpiled to celebrate a Trans-South championship. And it was a really emotional moment. It was a moment I won't forget ever in my life, no matter if I'm coaching anymore or not. It was an incredible time, an incredible moment. One of the things that impacted me the most, both as a player and later as a coach, was this concept and idea that at Trevecca, in the baseball program, we're trying to make better sons, husbands, and fathers in that order. I think both as a player, that was evident in the coaches that I played for, and later as a coach myself. I hope and pray that that is the message that was coming through loud and clear, that we want to compete, we want to do the very best we can, we want to get better, but we're trying to make better men. And TNU undoubtedly had that impact on my life. And I was a fiery coach, I'd like to think, somewhat emotional and excitable. But as a pastor now, I'm even more so, but I just cry a little bit more. And so the reason I'm not able to be with you today is a little bit of an emotional one for me, because it's birthed out of values that I feel like I learned in my time at TNU. My son is 13, Kaysen. Many of you that played for me may remember that. He was just young when we left and when I left TNU, but he's 13 now, and we've gotten into hunting. And hunting in Arizona is vastly different than the way you guys hunt in the South. You don't go to the store, buy your tag, and go out and just immediately find an animal. In Arizona, it's more like a lottery. So many people want to hunt, but there's limited game out here. And so when you put in every year, you are just anticipating whether or not you're going to get drawn. And we put in every year like we have for the last few years. And my son got drawn for a deer tag this year. And it happens to coincide with this weekend of homecoming. And I had to make a choice. I wanted to be there with you guys. I regret missing it and being able to celebrate with you. But the lesson that I learned about being a son, husband, and father has come through loud and clear. I couldn't look at my son and tell him that I couldn't make it, that I had to be elsewhere. And so the reason that I'm still here in Arizona is because I'm taking my son hunting this weekend, and we hope to tag out a big Coues deer, and maybe later on we can share that story with you. But I am so excited for the future of Trevecca Baseball, the hands that it's in now, and all the players that are part of it. I'm proud of the history and the legacy that has been a part of what Trevecca Baseball is. I am proud to have played a small part in it, and I'm maybe most proud of the man that I've become today, I believe is a direct result from my time at TNU. Enjoy homecoming weekend. Enjoy the 50th year celebration of Trevecca Baseball. I regret I can't be there with you, but I appreciate your time today and look forward to seeing you guys sometime in the near future. God bless.